the latest episode of Rich and Wibo Present the Local Artist Show, a show that we like to highlight local artists in the area. And today we have a special show because an artist that very rarely anybody does. I can't wait to talk about it. His name is Joe Kopler. He's an artist. He's in the area, and I'd love to find out more about what he does and how long he's been doing it, who are some of his inspirations. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the one, the only, Mr. Joe Kopler.
How are you, everybody?
I am doing well. So I know you know Wibo.
Bro.
I just met you about 2 minutes ago. We were talking a little bit, and I'm looking in the back. You have some very interesting art. So first of all, I want to tell my viewers, or tell Wibos and my viewers, what you do and when you started doing this.
I always been involved with art. I always wanted to be an artist since I picked up my first box of crayons and coloring book. And all through high school, I used to do oils, acrylics, charcoal, pastels, everything. But it's this unique kind of art that I discovered quite by accident in 2006. I call it sculpted painting. But what I'm using as my main component is a joint compound, which is like it's used. You'll find it in a building supply store, not an art store. And so what I do is I get a hard base like a wood or MDF board, and I build out an image. I sculpt out my topic on there, and once I work with it wet, and once it hardens, I go and prime it, and I paint it with acrylics. Like my most popular item is dog portraits, horses, people's pets. So they give me a photo, I sketch it on the board, and then I build out the snout of the horse or the dog or whatever I'm doing in layers. And after it looks decent, I let it dry, I prime it, and then I paint it with acrylics.
All right, so you said you were interested in art about the time you grabbed the box of crayons. How did that begin? So you were obviously very young. What inspired you back then to start drawing or doing whatever you did in the beginning?
Well, I just never got out of it. In fact, some of my past teachers from like 6th and 7th grade, they used to catch me doodling in the notebook and sketching instead of paying attention to math and English. And so they were so happy that like 30, 40 years later, I'm still involved doing the art.
Do you have
and
any
everybody says, you hear that all the time. You'll never make a living at being an artist, but it's starting to pay my bills now.
Oh,
so that's why I keep going.
You know, I love that because I always tell people, I said, even if you can't do it full time, never give up on your passions, never give up on what you love, because you need more to life than just going to work, eating, going to bed, waking up, going to work, you know, on and on and on.
Right,
you need something to keep going, and even if it doesn't make money. But what I love is that eventually, not all the time, but eventually you can find a way to monetize it, and something and that's the best feeling. It's something that you love and you're making money doing it, and you're making people happy with the art that you create.
Right. The nice thing about it, back in 2006, when I first started, I don't know how many times I heard, you're not going to make any money with art in Torrington. You got to go to Los Angeles. You got to go to New York. And the way I look at it, if you could start like a ripple effect, and it starts in Torrington especially with this kind of art that still nobody's doing.
Yeah.
Your fan base can Google it. Google DURABOND art. You'll see me and my images and stuff. So I just figured if it just keeps going like that, everything's going to focus back to this town. That's where it started.
What I love about Torrington, and it's funny because until recently, I didn't realize how artistic of a town Torrington is. Just in that one Water Street area, you have Noelty Gallery, you have Four Corners. Down the street, you have the old Holland Used building, I think it is, where now it's a bookstore, but it used to be there's WAPJ is on that same street. There's so much art going on there. And I'm part of another radio show called Nutmeg Junction, and we did a
with Joe Quirk.
Joe Quirk's the best. Yeah,
the best.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Yep. So what happened with me, I was years ago, I was doing stand-up comedy, and I reached out to him. I said, I would love to be on your show. And it was Nutmeg Chatter at the time. So I was interviewed on that show. Then he said, do you want me to write an article for you in the newspaper? It was Winston Phoenix. I said, yeah, let's do it. Then he did a podcast. I was on that. So basically everything he's done, he's always asked me to be a part of. And then when I was on Nutmeg Junction, we did a live show at Noelke Gallery, but he also did a show called Nutmeg Chatter. And I said, I have a guest for you. He goes, well, why don't you interview him? I said, okay. So what happened was I ended up taking over the show, and the pandemic hit. So my last guest said, why don't we create a YouTube channel? We'll give a shout out to him too. John Bristol from Elmwood Productions. He has his movie premiere at the Warner Theater coming Friday, February 18th. But so I started that. And then when I was promoting my book again, I met Wibo because he was doing a show called City Views. And he goes, Rich, I used to do a show called Local Artist Show. I'd love to have you as a co-host. So I just love the fact that just in that Torrington area, I've met so many great people, so many creative people. And it seems like there's a connection with everybody. It's like you said, you know Joe Quirk, he knows Wibo, I know John Bristol. It's just that it's a very small but supportive community.
Yeah, I tell you, Duke knows everybody, man.
No, just a few people.
Oh, I'm telling you, man.
He's the mayor. I always call him the mayor of Torrington.
Yeah, we have a battle back and forth to see who can make the front page the most.
Front page.
Oh, you got you're in everybody's back pocket, man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Wibo, you were my back pocket and I want my wallet back.
Whoa!
Oh, I'm sorry, Rich. I found a dollar in there.
Hey, Rich, did Joe Quirk put you in the little comic strip we used to do?
Oh yeah, yep. I have.
Yeah, me too. He put me in there.
Yeah. Well, what do you do for you?
Now that you mention that, he did a radio show with me too.
Yep.
He had me come down. It was at WAPJ in the back there.
Yep. That was Nutmeg Chatter, which is the show that I do now, and this show is going to be as a part of it. What happened was, I had a show called The Claws Corner, and I still do that, and it's on my YouTube channel. But now that I'm separating from the Nutmeg Chatter show, and Joe is giving us our own time slot for the Local Artist Show. So that's going to be on every Sunday starting in March. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, so it's sort of spawned into its own little entity. But what was your cartoon? I'm curious, because I'll tell you what mine was. You know what I love about Joe? Joe knows, like when you're friends with him, he knows your personality. And when he's writing skits for me, he writes knowing how I am in person. It's sort of exemplifies what my personality is, or exaggerates my personality. It's hilarious. And with the cartoon, he did the same thing. For me, he goes, Rich, you're always meeting these TV stars, as we talked about before the show started. And he goes, I think you'd be a great TV host. So he had me inside of TV, and it said, I have cerebral palsy, and my comedy act used to be all about the claw. That's what my nickname was in high school back in the 80s, and it's just always stuck. But so he had a thing called Seriously, CYR. My last name is Sarah. Seriously Funny Productions, and yeah, he did a great comic strip with me. What was yours?
Give me a second. I got a T-shirt. He did the front of the T-shirt on his comic book. Just a second.
Yeah, check this out.
Okay, I'll be counting, Joe. I'll be counting.
We'll be right back after this message. You're watching the Local Artist Show featuring Rich and Wibo here on many radio stations and the Rich Sear YouTube channel. While you're waiting for Joe to come back, why don't you subscribe to Rich Sear YouTube channel? Watch all the videos of the Local Artist Show. Now, back to our program.
I had these T-shirts printed up, and Joe Quirk did the way his cartoon impression of this. He got the biggest kick out of that. But I gave him a challenge, though. I gave him a lot of detail. Now, I used to DJ. Wibo knows this. I used to DJ.
Okay, he was good. He was good. He was the man.
2012. 25 years as a DJ. Got rid of that because there was too much competition, a lot of cutthroat. Now I'm sticking to just the art. So this T-shirt is a combination of me wearing a sombrero, because I used to wear a sombrero when I DJ. It's the love of my hometown. I love monster movies and I love art. Check this out. Can you see that?
Oh, I love it. Wait,
that's you, Todd. That's you, brother.
Pull it up just a little bit more. I want to see the bottom of it. There it is. All right. I love it. Little shout out to www.copplerart.com for everybody who's listening to it on the radio.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got
that
a
is
lot of
great.
trouble with my church. But I got that printed on mugs. I gave one to the mayor, and she got so excited about it. I said, "This is me ruining your town." But yeah, I enjoy it. I if I if I can make people laugh with my art or something, that's great.
Well, I am a huge fan of the old horror movies, some of the newer ones. What are some of your favorites? What type of horror do you like?
I like them all. Can you see them back there?
Yeah,
I see him, Todd. That's you, bro.
I see The Shining. I see Boris Karloff as the Mummy. I see
Oh,
Bela
let me
Lugosi,
unplug you guys. I'll
Lon
give you a
Chaney
tour.
Jr.
I'm gonna give you a tour.
All right, we're having the grand tour here on the local art show.
Grand tour, Taco.
How's it look? Can you see?
I love it.
Oh yeah, Todd. You the man. All
Now
right.
these are sculpted on wood. You could see the gills on the gill man here. See?
Love it.
Mm.
Yeah,
I even got the mole on Charles Lawton.
uh,
And Rich, you wanted to see your Clint Eastwood? There you go.
there he is. Yep.
Then up above him is
Sergio Leone, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Captain
Western
Captain
era.
Spaulding. Way up above, I got Lon Chaney Jr. and Alien.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you notice,
Hmm.
with the lighting, you can see there's three shades, 3 coats of high gloss on the alien creature because it just blew out of the guy's stomach.
Mm.
That's what you miss when you see this stuff on the computer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This looks pretty intense. If you ever seen that movie, that's Terrifier.
I know what you're
Then you
talking about.
got-
Pennywise.
Pennywise,
Texas
you
Chainsaw,
got
Leatherface.
Leatherface. And my favorite movie, King Kong. You got
Okay.
Crazy Charlie.
Buddy,
Crazy Charlie next to Howdy Doody, huh? What
what a combination.
I don't know. I try to cover all subjects.
You know what though? The only part about that is Howdy Doody to me is scarier.
You got
Bob Marley.
Chucky.
Hmm.
Now over here, like you see this tiger?
I love
I
it.
got experimental and I put bristles right in his cheeks before the DURABOND hardened.
Mm.
So you
That's
can feel the teeth and the whiskers.
You have some great artwork.
Up there, you got Quint again
Yep.
with the water and the shark with the high gloss.
Yep.
Way up
Wow.
there, you got Scarface. And you
No.
got another Pennywise here.
Mm.
And then you got Queen. Can you see Queen?
Can.
And over here, I got Work in Progress, Grateful Dead.
Mm.
All right, very nice. Well,
Okay.
you know what? Well, yeah. All right. I love the artwork, and I want to know exactly what is DURABOND, what is sculpted painting. So tell our viewers what it is and what's your process.
You want to know my process?
Yes.
All right, well, DURABOND is like I said, a joint compound, but it's different than the regular joint compound. I tried the regular green and blue cap stuff and tried to do what I just showed you, and it shrivels up and it shrinks and cracks. So I wanted something that's going to be holding true to its shape and not crack. So when I first started getting into this, back in 2006, I went up to Hart's Lumber in Litchfield there. And I asked him, I said, hey, I'm trying to sculpt a painting on wood. And he looked at me like I was smoking grass. I said, I want to sculpt a painting on wood. He said, what do you mean? I said, I told both Hart brothers, I said, listen, if you guys owned an Italian restaurant and before it opened, you had one whole wall, drywall empty, and I wanted to go sculpt the Colosseum on there with the trees and the big windows in the Colosseum and the pillars and everything, and to make it look Italian looking, what would I use? And they both said DURABOND. Well, that's what I want. Give me a bag of that stuff. So I go and I start experimenting with it. And I get practice and practice and practice. Next thing people see my art and they go, hey, could you do my dog? Hey, could you do my horse? Yeah. Then it just started to snowball. So now the process is I got a couple of carpenter buddies that if I get a 4x8 sheet of birch plywood, like say 3/4, I have them cut them to my dimensions. And I always like to have the edges routed, like this Bane here. You see Bane is sculpted, but when you get the plywood routed, right? Instead of just having a flat edge on plywood, once you get the thing completed, it looks like it's finished. You know, you got the hanger on the back, you can hang it right up and it looks like a finished piece when you have the border going around it. So that's, to me, that's the most expensive part of the whole process, the wood. You got to get decent wood. You can't get any stuff that warps or cheap stuff that's going to flake. You can't, it's hard to sculpt this stuff over knot holes and stuff. So you got to get decent wood. You can't, I just started doing MDF board probably the last 2 years, and I love that stuff. It's cheaper than wood, and it's solid. But the thing about that, if you drop it and the corner hits, it's softer than wood. So it's going to make an impression on the corner if it falls, you know. And this stuff will break if you drop it on a solid surface like cement floor or something. But you just got to treat it like glass, just like you would a piece of art. It costs you a few $100s. You're not going to go throw it around like a Frisbee. You know, you just hang it up and display it. But the way I make, like, I think I explained it to you before, Rich, but the way I explain it to people. I like to work with DURABOND wet. You know, like if I'm doing a dog, I like to do the forehead and the first layer on the nose. And the nose is going to be your most pronounced spot. So that will take like 3 or 4 layers. And then I'd carve out the nostrils of the dog, and little by little, you got to play with it. We only have so many minutes to work with DURABOND, but there's all different kinds of DURABOND. I like to use 45 and 90. That's your working time. If anybody wants to take this on, 45 minutes before it hardens, and now you're dealing with cement. So you got, if you get 90, you got a little more working time. And like I said, it's just practice makes perfect. This is my 17th year. So that's why, you know, I don't want to see anybody try this and get upset with themselves because it doesn't come out looking like Bane. I mean, this is 17 freaking years I've been doing this. Believe me, my early pieces weren't that great, but they're starting to sell. Everything's starting to sell now. And it's still unknown. That's the coolest thing about it. It's unknown.
Well, you know what the best thing is? Almost every famous artist that you mentioned, they didn't get famous until after they died. All of a sudden, their artwork spiraled out of control, money wise. And oh yeah, what was $5 last week? Oh, he's dead. Let's make that $5,000.
Well, I'm trying to put an end to that myth. I'm still alive. My heart's still going. You know, and then I tell people, what about Georgia O'Keeffe? She was alive when her stuff got popular. Norman Rockwell was above ground when he was popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why not Taco?
Exactly. Let's hear it for Taco.
Hey,
I got that when I got you and the Duke promoting me. Oh man, the
world
is my stage. The world is my stage. Yeah,
you're right.
How many years did it take you to come to this point where you said, let me try DURABOND? So you were, throughout the years, what did you mostly do? Did you paint? Did you draw?
Like I said, I used to do all kinds of stuff. Oils and acrylics and pastels and charcoal and everything. Pencil drawings. I just came across this stuff by accident. That's the coolest thing about it, by accident.
That's very cool.
Then I started acting, like I said, I went into hearts, I asked questions, because I did start out with my mother used to tell me, don't tell everybody your secrets, but I did start out with the regular joint counter. And like I told you guys, it shrinks and it cracks, but I had to go through that. So now if I go tell somebody to use DURABOND, they don't have to go through that little ripple that I had to go through. You know what I mean? There's, like I told somebody a couple of months ago, there's no textbook on doing this stuff. It's all research and development. I mess up. Okay, that doesn't work. Let me go here. I had nothing to follow. I just kept at it. And now I got it down to, you know, let's put it this way. Somebody tries to follow me and take my idea, I got a 17-year head start. That's the way I look at it, man.
You're right, Tom. You're a man, bro.
Here's a couple. Here's a bag of DURABOND. Don't go make Clint Eastwood. Have that.
Did you have
number one, you got to have patience, man.
Patience.
I did a 24 by 24 inch Sergeant Pepper. Now, are you guys familiar with that cover? There are so many little characters on it.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I had to work on this corner because if you work on too big of an area, you get it all sculpted. Next thing you know, your forearm goes through a wet area that you just sculpted. Now you got to do that all over again. And you're going to hit the whiskey bottle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
That's the stuff I don't tell people. You know, I know it happens because it's happened to me.
Well, no,
So
you know,
now I do, if I get something as big as Sergeant Pepper's, I go and work on a section down there. While it's drying, I work on this corner, kitty corner, so I'm not going to hit that area.
Mm.
Then I'll start working at that upper corner and then down the other corner. I try to stay away from the wet areas because you got to wait for it to cure before you could add another layer.
I think it's good to hear stories like this because I always say the best and most talented people make it look easy. They make like, oh, I just started this and did that. And then when somebody else tries it, wow, it's a lot harder than I thought. But I mean, for example, so in basketball, it'll be Michael Jordan, and in painting, I'm just going to use an example, Da Vinci, which is funny because I'm reading a book on him right now. And he's very similar mentality wise as what you were. He said, yeah, let me try this. He never really had any, he did have some training in the very beginning, but for the most part, he goes, yeah, let's see what happens here. And he was interested and curious about everything. So he would work mathematics, geometry. Well, it was kind of funny in a way. What happened was he got permission from the morgue to take the bodies so you could dissect them, so you could learn different ways, how the muscles work, how the body looks. He would take out their eyeballs, see how the light reflects. And so he would use the bodies when he was painting his Mona Lisa or the Last Supper or some of the other famous paintings that he did, or just in the sculptures. But the problem with him, though, and I did not realize this, almost every chapter ends with, yeah, he got bored and stopped doing it. Oh, he was bored. He wanted to move something else. There were so many things that he started, never finished. His nickname should be the Great Procrastinator. He didn't want to be considered just a painter. He wanted to be considered, he wanted to develop an airplane, which, the airplane wasn't made until a century later. And he wanted to develop, he had the scuba tank, which Jacques Cousteau made many, 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 many years later. So it's interesting to read these biographies on famous people and what their methods were. And that's why I love what you're saying to me. You're like, hey, I didn't know, I just tried this and it worked. I asked some questions. I was curious, and looking behind you, you're definitely doing the right thing.
Looking good.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think I remember seeing something about Da Vinci making some kind of wings for a human being. Wasn't he? That's it, right?
Him. Yeah. What happened was
he did the Last Supper too.
Yes, the Last Supper. But what happened with the wings is he was so curious of why and how birds and dragonflies flew. So he would study them and find out, he goes, well, if birds could fly, why can't humans? And then he was always curious about, say, ducks. It's like, well, in the water, in fish, it's heavier in the water, and this, it's just, he would be trying to figure out why the sky is blue, how birds fly, and then he made some of the things he invented never came to fruition because, one, he didn't feel like finishing it, but two, he was so far ahead of his time in his thinking that he didn't have the technology to make that until centuries later or even years later. So there was a lot that he was curious about, but yeah, he was the one that was curious about flying and pretty much everything else.
I always used to hear from different people about, now that you mentioned Da Vinci, they mentioned Da Vinci, Claude Monet, Edgar Degas, all these famous impressionists, and they said, they all became famous after they died. But here's the deal: they didn't have social media.
Exactly.
That's key. Yeah. That's key.
No, it's definitely a different time.
From Torrance, Connecticut, I'm in 5 different countries.
You're in
I
5
got
different
stuff in
countries?
England. I got stuff in Hong Kong. I got stuff in Australia. From Torrance.
Well, let's talk about that.
Just from seeing me on the internet, from my SD shop, and and that's what's cool about it. I'm trying to get all over the world before I die. That's a goal. Now that's a goal.
Yep.
Right. Well, we're gonna help you make this goal happen.
Oh yeah, we will,
man.
Oh yeah.
I know we do have a wide reach, and there's people who watch it all over the world. So hopefully somebody's watching right now and said, where can I buy that? And you know what? I usually save it for the end, but let's do a little plug now. If somebody wants to buy your art, where can they find it?
They can find it on SD, or they can get a hold of me direct. I might give them a break on the price.
All right.
Get a hold of me direct. My website is copplerart.com. And that's my SD shop too, Coppler Art. I'm easy to find. Tell your listeners, man, just Google Joe Kopler. Joe Kopler Art. It'll pop up. Every freaking story about me. You know, I feel like I'm a millionaire, but I'm sitting in a Torrington apartment.
T-Town.
Well, to me, because
So I'm hoping that my artwork behind me, my presence, and my story and my art gets you guys so cranking. I like to see this start to snowball. You know?
well, you know what? Let's make this happen. Because
Yeah, I want other artists to say, well, what the hell? If that taco guy could get on that show, you know, if Wibo could write down the right email and that artist could get on the show and promote his art, that works for everybody. That's a landing zone, you know, I mean, a lifting platform or something or whatever, you know.
Well, promoting is a completely different
That's the
animal
key.
than, so a lot of people who when I was doing comedy, I love to promote myself, and they say, well, how did you have an agent? How do you do? And so people would actually ask me, can you help me write this or that? Because I hate talking about myself. I said, you have to let people know you could be confident without being arrogant. Let people know how great you are, but you don't have to be arrogant about it. But you have to let people know that I have this great piece of work and it would look great in your living room. You buy it. Don't be too modest where you're underselling it, because then you're not going to sell anything. People are like, he's not even confident in himself. Why should I buy from him? So I agree with you, and I have that same mentality. Is just promote and sell yourself, and that's, like I said, a completely different animal than the art itself. So if you're good at both, you're going places.
Well, I tell you, your partner is a good promoter.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Duke, he knows everybody.
Yeah.
I only know a few people,
Yeah.
about 5 or 6.
Yeah, you had me go down to Dunkin' Donuts and meet you, and I'm like, how big is the show? You'll find out. You'll find out. How big is the show? You know, I get here and it's just the three, which is fine. You know, it's the three of us. The only guy I didn't meet was Rich.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I just tried to find out if Wibo's he's on the level. But I honestly, Wibo, I thought we were gonna have like 6, 7 artists and me.
No.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
I really did.
Nope.
When I asked Rich before you got your skinhead on here, I said, hey, how many people are coming? Oh, just us 3.
It's all about that. It's
all
all about you,
sound
brother.
like it's gonna be a full screen, like 12 people.
It's all
That's
about
a
you.
promoter, Rich. That's a promoter.
Oh,
You know, he only tells you a little bit of the truth. So you can't call him a liar. You did tell me the truth. There's gonna be artists. How many? You'll see.
Well, no,
see.
the problem was
see.
the other 13 artists had the wrong email, so they couldn't get on.
Couldn't get on.
I love it, man.
No, that's you, Taco. You start
Everybody-
that. You start.
Hey, Duke, everybody loves you, man. Everybody loves you.
No.
All right, now, if this gets on YouTube, I'll be able to share it, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I want
want
to
you to
promote and share as much as you can. Tell your
All
friends
you
to
want.
share it. I want to spread the word. I want to talk about some of your inspirations. We talked about Da Vinci, you talked about Monet, you talked about Rockwell. Who are some of your favorites?
I like Frank Rosetta. You guys familiar with him?
No.
He did the Molly Hatchet albums in the 80s.
Oh, yes.
You got the Death Dealer.
Yeah.
In fact, I made 4 Frank Rosetta paintings.
Wow.
I hooked up with a lawyer in California. He bought all of them. I can't keep them around.
Wow.
Well, I don't know if you could see. Can you see the Barbarian over there in the corner?
Yes. Yeah,
Next
I can.
to the left of Pennywise.
Yeah.
That's a Frank Rosetta. I haven't sold that one yet, but that'll give you an idea who he is. He's like a fantasy artist. He died in 2010, but he used to do a lot of creepy covers in Eerie magazine. He was a big Conan the Barbarian guy. I don't know if you remember that Conan coming over all the soldiers with the axe. You ever seen
Yes,
that
I do.
picture?
I have.
I want to sculpt that, but I don't know how to sculpt the axe with the handle and make it look like it's coming at you, because how would you do it with DURABOND? You know what I mean? You're going to have to have a base underneath it and then have the handle. And that's why I stay away from that stuff. I'll figure it out one of these days. I just don't know.
You
how
will,
to do
Taco.
it
You the
right now.
man. You the man. You get it. You get it.
It's hard to do certain things. It really is. Like glasses and stuff, you know, sculpting a guy's head with glass. Like if I sculpted your head, Duke, with glasses, that would be tough. You know what I mean? I'd have the bald head.
special
That'd
head.
be easy. Hey, the bald head be easy to get the shape. Now you got to build out the lens and paint your little beady eyes behind the lenses.
That's it.
And make it look real.
Make it look real.
Oh, I got a feeling you're gonna be You're gonna be throwing shoes at me.
No, tomatoes, that's all. Hey, Taco, do you sell that painting downstairs in the window yet?
Oh, the owl? No,
The
not
paint-
yet.
Yeah, the owl, not yet.
I
Tell
told
Rich
you, I
about-
owe you a lunch if it sells, man.
Yeah, tell Rich about the owl.
Yeah, remember the owl, Owl Jolson, Rich?
Oh, yeah.
On Looney Tunes.
That's my favorite cartoon of all time.
I want to sing it. I want to moon and a tune and a
Yep.
Well, I got it in my window. I paint, not sculpted. I painted them on canvas. I like that too. That's my role model right there, man. Doesn't give a hoot about nothing. He's just sitting there whistling.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it.
Cartoon
That
was
was
so
nice
great
shot
because
too.
cartoon was
But-
so, to me, anti-PC, which is great. Before there was so much political correctness, you had to be so safe, and it was just funny. And then they had so many different characters, and Mel Blanc. Nobody.
Oh
will
my
ever
God, he was a
top-
classic.
Yeah, Mel Blanc is definitely the best. He's done so. I mean, he's in a room by himself. It would seem like there's 20 other people, and it's just him. He had so many different voices and characters, and they all came to life. And nothing will ever beat, to me, the Looney Tunes. So I love the fact that you did that, and I love the fact because it seems like you and I have very similar sense of taste. I love the horror movies. I love the cartoons, and some of the other ones, the old westerns. So I'm definitely gonna be checking into some of your art. Like, what's an average piece go for, money wise?
$350.
Okay.
Now, I have an Abbey Road down there that's 4x4 sculpted on a half a sheet of birch plywood. That's my most expensive piece. I want $3,500 for that. Then everybody's like, you're not going to get that. Well, so I'll tell you what. You find another one sculpted on a half a sheet of birch plywood, and then we'll haggle. You're not going to find it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. You're not going to find it. Hey, get back to that question you asked me about inspiration. Walt Disney.
Yes.
Now, there's a guy that came from nothing, and he went through a lot of hurdles. In the middle of a depression, he started out with Mortimer Mouse, which became Mickey Mouse, and nobody would back him up. Hardly anybody would back him up. That's what I idolize. I idolize somebody like that because I heard the same crap. You're not going to make any money with this. You're still going to work full time. You know what? But the best thing is, last July, I rotated everything. Now I'm doing art full time and my job part time. Took me a while to do that. A long
so you
time.
never gave up.
I never
that's
gave
the
up.
best part.
And here's the cool thing: my employer backs me up all the way. They know how passionate I am about my art, so they work with me part time.
Love
You
it.
know?
That's great.
If I got to take a day off because I got to go meet an art client, no problem. We'll see you tomorrow. You know.
It's similar to the story of Sylvester Stallone with Rocky. He wrote the story. And he goes, "Well, I'm not going to sell it unless I start it." And he was a nobody. He said, "No, we're not going to have a
Right.
nobody starting this. We want this person. We want that person." He goes, "Well, then I'm not selling my script." So he ended up holding out, and they offered him so many hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he said back then there was a can of food. It was between him and his dog, and he had to figure out which one he wanted to feed. And he still said, "No, I'm not going to sell it." He stuck to his guns, and
I heard
sold
that.
it.
I heard that. Yeah.
And then, best picture 1976, and he hasn't looked back. So he just, I have a lot of respect for people like that too. And they, like I said before, you have that passion, just never give it up. And who cares if it takes 20 years? Just
Right.
do it. And so many people I think use that as an excuse, like, "Oh, I don't have time." Well, what'd you do? Well, I got home, I ate, I watched TV for an hour and a half. Well, during that hour and a half, you could have started a painting.
Yeah, be doing something constructive.
Yeah. Something more
I
constructive.
think. Now that you mentioned Sly, I think he was in a couple porn flicks when he was starting out, wasn't he? To make money.
That, I don't know.
He had
Yeah,
to
it
sell
might
his
have been- I think it was
dog. He had to
Fluffy.
sell that was his real dog, Butkus. That was his dog.
Yeah.
He had to sell it. And as soon as he made money for Rocky, he bought the dog back.
That's true. I do remember
Yeah,
that.
I heard that.
Oh, wow.
The softcore porn, I'm not sure, but I didn't hear that story, but I did hear about and Butkus wasn't.
I think I don't know if it was right around Rocky. I could have sworn it was the Italian Stallion, but it couldn't have been because that's the name of the movie.
Yeah.
His character.
You know what? That might have been.
I could have sworn just to make money. He was in a couple porn flicks out in LA.
You know what? Our viewers can look that up and see if that's true. But the story
Yeah.
about the dog definitely is true. And
Yeah.
Butkus was in the movie. He
Yes,
bought him
he is.
back, and they put him in the movie.
Mm.
Yeah, he's got a good inspirational story to Sly Stallone.
And
Same
you know
thing
what's
with Disney. Like I said, Disney.
Yeah. No, and the good thing or the great thing about Sly is his movies are so simplistic, but they're so relatable. and
Yeah.
everybody can look at that movie and see themselves in that. And that's what makes his character Rocky so great. And Rambo's another one too. It's just a
Oh, yeah.
loner that is him against the world, and it just relates so relatable to the viewers. And that's why I have so much respect for him. People always make fun of him, saying, "Oh yeah, you can't even talk," this and that. But you know what?
Prove
He's
wrong.
great at what he does. He knows his strengths, he knows his weaknesses, and he plays up his strengths. So I definitely agree with you. Walt Disney, the same thing, like you said. I know he came from nothing and he just kept going. And look at it, he has a whole world, Disney World, Disneyland.
Yeah. And you got to make, that was during the Depression.
Yeah.
That was during the Depression when everybody was out of work and everything was going downhill. Same thing with my favorite movie of all time, King Kong.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
King
Made
Kong.
during the Depression. RKO is on a ready for bankruptcy. And then Miriam C. Cooper got together with a handful of guys and made King Kong and took him out of bankruptcy. And it's like the greatest monster movie of all time during the Depression. That is cool.
Wow.
That's a great.
And that's when I quit my job. Now they called me back part-time. I quit my job to do my art full time. Guess what? During a pandemic.
Yeah.
I tell people that. I just that's when people's creativity starts to they really think stuff up. When they're down and out and they're out of work and they got time to work on themselves, that's when the creativity juices start to flow.
That's right.
And
That's
that-
right, Tom.
and that's when I started promoting my art a lot more than I usually do.
Well, you also are going to prove something wrong too, because a lot of people talk about the tortured artist, and some people say, "Oh, the only time people can be creative is when they're depressed." And you are living proof that no, one, you can be happy and be creative, and two, you don't have to die to be popular.
Nope.
Right.
So I love the fact that you are proving everybody wrong. It's like you
Thank
can be
you,
happy
sir.
and
Thank
alive
you.
and still successful.
Yeah. Hey, the Duke
No.
knows that too, man. At least I got both you guys on my side, man. Yeah, well, now we just gotta extend the audience. That's all.
You gonna be a newspaper, John? With
Oh, you don't know how many times people that they don't see it the way you guys are seeing me now. I'm telling you,
Mm.
you really don't. I tell you, I have an older brother that said the same thing. You ain't gonna make money on this. This is when I first started. Then I started telling him I'm paying my bills. I got this much for this money and this much for this painting and this much. Really? I said, I just sold that Sergeant Peppers for $2,500. He said, you're kidding me. He said, no, I'm not kidding you. You know, it's starting to snowball.
Mm.
It really started. And I tell you, Rich, since I moved downtown in July, my mom passed away. That's what Wibo was up my house. So I had to get
Yep.
out of my mother's house. I got divorced, moved in with my mom. Took care of her for like 11 years. My kids used to come over every other weekend and stuff, and I was paying child support. And so I was just starting to sculpted stuff, and I ended up getting into a nasty divorce. So now I'm back to square one again. So I go moving with my mother. My dad was already gone. I said, Ma, what are you doing with your basement? She says, nothing. 3 years of bartering. 3 years of bartering. Somebody put the sheetrock up, the framing, but there was an empty basement, right? Track lighting. Took me 3 years to open it, and it finally opened it in 2010, and it was open for 11 years. But unless you know me, you're not going to go in that guy's basement because you're thinking of, some psycho that's going to chop you up. But it was pristine, man. It was pristine.
You had it hooked up, Taco.
Huh?
You had it
Wait a
hooked
minute.
up.
I got a photo right here. Wait.
You had it hooked up, man.
Rebo, you've been here, but Rich has it. Look at this,
No,
man. This
Rich
is
has
the
it.
entranceway.
Wow. Wait, put
I'm
it
telling
up a
you.
little. Put it up a little bit more so I can see it. No, up.
Oh,
There we go. All right. Very
Yeah.
cool.
And you walk in and go around the corner. I had 350 pieces hung up on chains.
Wow.
It was like the diamond in the rough. That's what the lady called it. She said she walked in there. She goes, "My God, Taco, you got the diamond in the rough." So I got all pumped up on that, man. I said, but nobody would know that unless you know me. Unless you sculpted your dog, or you see my stuff on Facebook. Then you inquire about it. Then you come up, and everybody's blown away. That's how I got my landlord to give me the front window of his building. I'm in the Libby's building next to City Hall. There was nothing in the window. So I said, hey, come on up and see my artwork in my gallery. So he's like, yeah, this guy's got a gallery. He comes in, he's freaking blown away. He's like totally blown away. And I told him, look at, now see the expression on your face? He said, yeah, what's the difference if it's in my mother's basement or in that front window? You're gonna get the same expression, right? People walking by, whoa. You know? So now it's on Main Street. And I already told you, when I moved down here, I was 16 years old. It's not, we both seen it years ago. I've been doing it for years. It's not new to us. But you put it on Main Street in Torrington, bang. I already told you, it's nowhere. You can't find it anywhere. You're not going to find it in New York. You're not going to find it in Chicago, LA. You're not going to find it anywhere because it started here. You know, that's the cool thing about it. That's the message I want this show to get out. It started here.
And it ends here too. I like that.
Right.
Anytime.
There may be some pale imitations, but there's only one original, and that's right here. We're talking to him, Joe Kopler.
Beautiful, man.
Have you had any art gallery shows?
Since I moved in here? No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Because I'm sure if you talk to the guy, I forgot his name is Noelke, right? He's the one that runs the art gallery.
I've talked to him.
John Noelke.
I've talked to him on the phone or via email.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I talked to him before too about different things, and you would have a great art show there because I've been to different ones they've had there, and I'm not just saying this because you're a guest, but yours blows away what I've seen there in the past.
Well, I tell you what, I was trying to get in the 5 Points gallery on the corner. Yeah. Judith, the owner of that place, she came up in my cellar and she was blown away too. But at that time, it was a 1.5 year waiting list, so I wasn't interested to get in there. But I tell you, I just got my stuff in the window, and that's a blessing. My art exploded in July and August when I moved down here. And now it's starting to get steady. This time of the year, it slows down a little bit, but like I said, I'm working, so I don't care. I still got a check coming in. So don't bother.
That's great.
I'm waiting for my lunch, Taco.
I got the best of both worlds. What's that, buddy?
I'm waiting for my lunch. Tell Rich about my lunch.
Yeah. I got to sell that Al Jolson. I owe my lunch. Because it was his picture. It was his picture that I put on Facebook, and the kid saw it, and then he goes, hey, I want that Al Jolson. So I got to give credit to the photographer.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, but eventually, I don't know if Wibo told you, Rich, eventually the building that I'm in, the landlord, the owner, is gutting out the basement, the first floor. He's going to turn it into a diner and an emporium. The emporium is going to have like 60 booths, and I want to get one of those booths for my art. So I'm going to pull some of my art out of the window. He's going to try to put as many artisans or photographers, whoever's in his emporium, he wants to put in the front window to draw people in. Right. But I'm going to have my art in one of his cubicles down here. Plus, living upstairs, beautiful. You can't beat it.
If somebody wanted to check out your art in person, can they meet you by appointment?
Oh yeah, that's what I do. I go by appointment. Yeah, but if they're in downtown, I'm right in the window right now. I might be out of the window in March, but right now I'm in the window. 104 Main Street.
I'm not going to ask Wibo because he'll give me the wrong one. What's your email address so people can get in touch with you?
Copplerarts with an S @gmail.com.
All right. I think you're going to be receiving an email from me because I want to check that out. I want to see some of that in person. And do you get a lot of people saying, I love your art. Can you make this for me? Or do they just go through your gallery and say, I want, or on Etsy and say, I want this one, I want this one? Or can they specify?
A combination of both. Yeah. A lot of people come up to me with their dogs and their horses, and I do that, you know. They give me like 3 pictures of their horses, close up, the neck and the head, and I choose the best one. Like some lady just came up to me a couple of weeks ago. She gave me she's from Vermont, and she misses her home state of Vermont. So she gave me 3 maple trees with the pails, and it was just kind of like a nature it's big in Vermont, but around here, nobody gives a crap about Vermont pails. But anyways, I sculpted it for the lady. She freaking loved it. She loved it, you know? And it's just, like I said, it's not, it would have been, I'm into King Kong and, you know, Clint Eastwood, but she wanted her pails with the maple trees. And I said, okay, I'll do it, you know? I wasn't sure what she was going to throw at me, you know? Because she says, I want something from they're moving into a new house. So she said, I want something for my house. I said, okay, what do you want? And so she gave me that photo. Can you do this? Yeah, I can do it. Yeah. So I don't I don't like to refuse no work. You know what I mean? And if the subject matter changes, that's more challenge for me. You know what I mean? If I got to do maple trees, back to the creature from the Black Lagoon, back to Howdy Doody, back to some science fiction scene, it keeps your knife sharpened.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good to have you. I'm glad you have very eclectic taste. You don't like only horror. You don't only like cartoons. You like a spectrum of many different things.
Yeah.
Somebody-
And no, I was gonna say,
Somebody
well, so
asked
when
me
somebody
about
comes to you,
my gallery, when I have my gallery open, what market are you trying to capture? Anybody from 8 to 88. You know, that's a pretty good range.
just say anybody that has taste.
Like I said, I probably like a small portion of the world knows about this stuff.
Hmm.
Small, and
I wanna
eventually
make
it's gonna grow.
It
It's
will.
gonna grow.
Yeah, and the only way to do it is what we talked about before. And you know, I never even thought of that, but when you said that, it makes so much sense. All these artists in the past never had social media. Now is the best time
Next time.
for
Exactly.
like some musicians will complain like, oh, I don't get paid from Apple or Spotify, but most of these artists would never even be heard without those platforms. So what
Yeah.
I do is I mentioned this to artists before, you know, musicians anyway. It's like when I hear something I like, then I look you up, download some stuff, and then when you're in the area, I'll check you out and buy some stuff at the table. Same thing with artists. Like I probably wouldn't even know about different things that are happening, and now I see this online, like, wow, this is great. I want to check this out, and I'll learn more about it. So I think this is a really good time, and if you're smart and you know how to play the game, you could easily monetize it. As you're proving it. Yeah.
And if somebody comes to my window or comes to my studio in person, they want something, I usually give them a break. Because you give them a break, you usually have a repeat client after that. Wow, this guy's giving me a break, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm on numerous art groups on Facebook, probably 50 art groups.
Yep.
And it was one young girl, I don't know where she was from. 2 weeks ago, she goes, how do you go about being successful? You know what I said to her? You got to get up, promote, and market yourself daily.
Yeah.
Daily. Then, if you're doing some kind of artwork, show it being work in progress photos. Like it's perfect for my stuff, work in progress photos. That gets your audience more, like they got their like beacon up and they're listening and they're watching your progress, or show it completed. And then you get up and do the same thing. Market yourself, promote yourself. This is like every day I do this, every morning.
I think what happens is
I'm still working at it. I mean, I'm just getting started. That's the cool thing.
I know it is. That what they always say, the 20-year overnight success. And what I like about you is that a lot of people will become discouraged. Oh, forget what's even where nobody even cares. Nobody's buying. But and they give up way too quickly. Maybe you're going to have some days where nobody's paying attention, but then one day somebody's like, wow, what is that? And then, as you said, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They're going to tell their friend's going to tell their friend. And yeah, you have to just keep doing it. You have to keep promoting yourself, and to stay good at what you're doing, you have to, even if you're not in the mood, just paint. As a writer, I wrote a self-published book, and the same thing is like, sometimes I wasn't in the mood to write. It's like, no, let me just write. And if I couldn't think of something, I'll just write anything down. And a lot of times that would spiral into a completely different way I thought about the story. So, wow, I didn't think I was going to take it there. So I love the fact that, yeah, you just have to keep doing it and keep promoting, and just, you're going to have days when it's not good. Just don't get discouraged. Or if you do, get over it.
To me, this is my lifeline. I can't get discouraged when I'm doing my art. I really can't.
Exactly, yeah.
It makes me feel good. In fact, I had a friend of mine tell me last summer, he goes, when I told him I quit my job and I'm doing this full time, he goes, he knows how long I've been doing it. And he says, most people would have quit by now. I mean, I had checks bounce on me. I mailed the artwork. I cashed the check. Everything's good. 2 days later, it's no good. Now they got a piece of artwork and I got bagged on my check. Now I got to get a lawyer involved to go chase them. And they're chasing a freaking phantom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I got these people, like these web designers that are going to promote your artwork and stuff. I went and I forgot the name of the place. But anyways, I hooked up with them. Cost me $700 to join. And they're supposed to find me one client on the West Coast and one client on the East Coast, and they got a big following and they're going to help me get my art promoted. I made them each a freaking pet portrait, free. I paid the shipping and I got zip back. That's what I mean. I mean, between the artwork and the shipping and what I paid the $700 just to get involved, it was over $1,000.
Yeah.
And that should have put me over the edge. But I just, like, hey, just like the owls.
Yeah, you're right.
I got blinders on, baby. I got blinders on. I'm
You gotta see down, Rich. You gotta see down.
I'm past the point of no return, boys. Past the point. Wait a minute. All those people that were picking on me in the beginning, you'll never make money. You ever hear a starving artist? All came to a murmur. I don't hear nothing anymore.
There's one of my all-time favorite phrases is success is the best revenge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think a lot of people that said like, oh, you're never gonna make money. I think that they probably had passions that they wanted to pursue, but they were more afraid and said, all right, let me live the life that people more expect me to live instead of the life that I really want to live. And I have more respect for people. Somebody said this and it's so true. I'd rather fail at doing what I love than succeed at something that I really don't even care about.
I just heard that today.
Really?
What if that was you?
Maybe.
That was weird.
That is weird.
It might have been.
This is my favorite quote. This is my favorite quote. I heard it in a business seminar in 2009. I couldn't write it down quick enough in a notebook. That I went home and I sculpted it. It says, it's perfect for what we're talking about now. Plus that front window I got downstairs. Set yourself on fire with enthusiasm and people will come from miles around to watch you burn.
Love it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a classic, man.
That just replaced my old one for the all-time favorite quote now.
Oh, that's great. I got that. I don't know where it is, but I got it sculpted on a little 8x10. I used to hang it over my desk at my mother's house. It's got this little halo of light over these hills, all sculpted at night. And I got those words hand painted over. Set yourself on fire with enthusiasm and people will come from miles around to watch you burn. I love that. I just love that.
What are some of the other types of paintings that you do? I know you mentioned you've done dogs, you've done pails, do you do some outdoor settings?
Yeah, I do like some of the women like my whimsical stuff. I got a lot of really colorful stuff that you'd be able to see on my website. I mean, there's no people, there's no traffic, there's no bullshit, no negativity. It's all peaceful, colorful scenes, maybe a turtle swimming by, or everything's bright and vibrant colors and stuff. And women like that stuff. They just, they eat that stuff up. But I also do people's businesses. Like I've done Hart's Lumber, the one that gave me the idea with DURABOND. I gave them a break on the price. So I sculpted the front of their building, Hart's Lumber, storage or whatever they call themselves. And I got it hanging in their office now. So now when people come in to buy lumber, wow, who did that? You know what they call me at Hart's Lumber when I go in there? And the only time I go in there is to buy DURABOND. They call me Mr. DURABOND.
Mr. Huh?
Mr. Nobody else. No, that's the only thing I go in there for. I don't know if they're the only ones selling it, but that's why I started with the brothers, Hart Brothers. They gave me the tip, and I haven't stopped since. They're surprised I'm still going at it too. It's like, wow.
Well, you found something that works and something that looks great. Do you experiment a little bit more to take it to the next level? Have you done that yet?
What's that?
Because I said you have Mr. DURABOND, you've been working with this, and it's something that works and something that people like. Have you tried experimenting with that just to make it to the next level and try something even newer to see if you can, just play around with it and see if you can find something new to create?
Well, when I made that tiger, I wasn't sure if the whiskers were going to stick.
Yeah.
In the cheeks of the tiger. So I said, I'm going to take a shot with this tiger. I did it with a couple dogs too, with a Chihuahua, but I put like fine nylon bristles in there, and that seemed to work. I don't like to do it with every portrait because, sometimes you could see the whiskers in the photo and sometimes you can't. So I don't want to overdo it. I'd rather not do it if I don't have to. If you don't see the whiskers in the reference photo, I don't want to put them, like I did the Cowardly Lion. That sold in some lady in Pennsylvania, I think, a couple of years ago. But that had bristles because you could see the bristles on the Cowardly Lion. And she thought that was the freakiest, coolest thing in the world, man. But other than that, I don't like to add the bristles if I don't have to.
Yeah.
All right, this is what somebody says to me at work a couple of weeks ago. Hey, Taco, you need a holy grail of your art to capture people to really catch their eye. So now picture this. You guys seen the Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The boat is sinking, right? They already got hit the iceberg, it's sinking, but the lights are still lit up. Okay. Rowboats are in the foreground with the people, right? And you got the thing shaking and it's sparking. You got all the lights going on and off. Now picture this. Maybe a board, I don't know, 36 by 24, right? Sketch it out in pencil, the rowboats, the Titanic, but you draw all those little freaking windows, right? Drill holes in it. Then you go and build a DURABOND on top of that. Don't cover up the holes, work around the holes. This is going to take a while. This is a project. Take her out, you sculpt the rowboats really jumping out of the freaking painting because they're in the foreground. But in the background, you got all those freaking holes drilled. You covered the DURABOND, you go around all those holes, right? And then after it's done, painted with the night scene and the stars and everything, you go and you build out the back like 3-4 inches and you put a fluorescent light back there and you flip it on. All them freaking lights would be lit up. That would be sweet. Now that would be sweet. A lot of work. That could be a headache. That might be a Jack Daniels and a beer weekend, but it would be fun just to take on, man. It would be fun.
Which one took you the longest and why?
Sergeant Pepper's. Because of the
yeah.
I got the Abbey Road is twice the size, but that's my second year. I did that in 2007. That came out good, but if I did it now in 2022, it'd be better because I'm getting better at it. You know, the shoulders of the Beatles would be popping out. The Volkswagen would pop out better. The trees, you know. I just did a small one. I sent it to South Carolina, and that came out better than the 4x4 down in the window. Because I'm getting better. I can see myself getting better, you know. But Sergeant Pepper's was a bear. I mean, I got to do another one. The money's good, but I got to do another one of those. It was a son of a bitch.
People who don't know the cover, which who doesn't? Come on, it's a classic, iconic cover. Yeah, there's a lot of work that would be put into that. With everything,
I never noticed how much detail and how many items are on there. There's a bottle of tequila. There's a little radio. There's all kinds of stuff. I didn't leave anything out. Nothing. I even had the little doll there with "Welcome the Rolling Stones" or something. She got the little shirt. I got that in there. I hand painted the freaking words on her sweater. Oh,
you know what I like about you is when I asked you the question, who's your favorite artist? You didn't say Pablo Picasso, Da Vinci, Monet. You said, yeah, the guy who did the Malachi cover. I love that because those people, most people don't even think of that as art per se. They're just like, oh, that's a really cool cover. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And I love the fact that that was your number one answer.
Well, I'm not kidding. His work inspired me because I like that kind of stuff. I like that fantasy art. You know, I'm not into ballerinas with Edgar Degas ballerina or Monet's lily pad bridges are cool with the little lily pads. They're cool too, but that's just not my, you know, I did that for somebody. I did a Monet and I sculpted the freaking lily pads. No, they were sculpted. It was on an MDF board, and I painted the whole thing high gloss for the water. That came out cool. That came out really cool. But other than that, I mean, that's the only Monet I did.
I'm not
Picasso's work. I don't see that as art. I'm sorry. I don't know how people. He's a freaking millionaire, but he got popular after he died.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I couldn't even do what Picasso does with the squares and I couldn't do that. I would be ashamed to sell that. I really would.
You know what's funny? Who I don't see as art is Jackson Pollock. I just don't see that as art at all. Somebody that dropped a gallon of paint on the floor and calls it art. You know, let me put that in a frame. I just don't think that's. And I can't. Here's what I hate. And there's a whole. I had this conversation with different artists about this. There's a smugness about that, like, oh, you just don't understand art. No, I do, and just because I don't like something doesn't mean that I don't understand it. We all have different tastes. There are people, obviously, there's something for everybody, and there are people that like Jackson Pollock. But to me, I look at that and say, why would anybody want that? For me, the best, and I'm not an art connoisseur, so there's probably a lot of people that I didn't even know, and I still don't know who exists, but Salvador Dali. I love this stuff because you look at it from a distance, you see one thing. You get a little bit closer, you see 2 or 3 more things. You get closer, you see 5 or 6 more things. It's just every time you see it, you see something different and something new.
Yeah, I like some of his stuff.
Yeah.
Salvador Dali, yeah.
I don't know. I know
Well, you
obviously the
got-
melting clock, but there's also the one with the dog and the bridge, and it's
Yeah.
it's at the Wadsworth Athenaeum. I've seen that one in person, and I love his art, and I like that type of work. But
Well,
I'm
that's
also
cool
a fan.
about this stuff is I got nothing to compare it to.
Exactly. We're gonna call it Copplerism. Forget
I don't know, man.
Expressionism. We got Copplerism.
How's
You
that
are-
sound, Duke? Copplerism.
All right. Hey,
You're gonna say I knew him when. I
No
knew
win.
him when he was in his cellar.
This has been Duke approved.
work his way up.
Yeah.
Like the
All
old
right, man, this has been fun, guys. This has been
I'm
fun.
having a great time. This is so great.
Oh,
I
nice
didn't
time.
even know what to expect because I got that little blurb a couple days ago and I said, what do we get to put through? I can talk to you forever. I love your enthusiasm. I love your passion. And I love the things that you like. Our tastes are very similar. So yeah, I could talk about this all night. So what are you working on right now?
That Grateful Dead.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna show you something. I'm shipping one to London. He saw
Ooh,
my SD
London, huh?
shop. He saw my SD shop, and I asked him, "How did you find this?" "Oh, I saw it in SD." So he asked me if I would take payments. I said, "Yeah, I'll take payments." So he's been sending me payments on through PayPal, via PayPal. So my PayPal balance is going up. But you'll love this because it's horror related, Rich.
All right.
Richard like that.
I'm a big horror fan.
I used to be.
Now this
Good
guy,
guy.
keep in mind, this guy lives right outside of London. Can you see that?
Up a little bit more. Up. No, unfortunately, not really.
No.
What is it?
I'm trying to. All right, I just opened it up, but you see that? Could you see that at all?
Up a little bit more. No, wait. Oh,
Oh, there you go.
yeah. Yes, I
Yeah.
see it. It's a wolf man.
American Werewolf in London.
Oh, okay.
All right,
yes.
let me see.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I try. Let me kill this light behind me here. Wait,
Yeah, I think
That
that's
might
what
be
it is.
better.
It's-
or is that worse?
nope. There it is.
Oh,
Okay,
that's right,
now
you
I can see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, when I watch the whole transformation.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
All right, talk.
I love
like
that.
it.
So you drew that for some? You made that for somebody?
Hold on. I got it in the closet. I don't want.
Yeah.
I had to get it out of my window because the guy in London wants to buy it. He's been paying me for it.
Once again, we'll be right back after this short commercial break. You're watching the Rich and Wibo local artist show. Do 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 dun 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 dun. Do 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 do. Burr, 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 burr. And we're back with Rich and we will present the local artist show. Thank you very much for that short commercial break. Back with Joe Kopler, aka Taco, as he talks more about Copplerism.
All right, I want to show you my first piece, January 2006. I don't even want to sell it.
All right, let's see it.
I was driving a senior bus at the time, and it's a really cheap piece of plywood. So I was experimenting with the DURABOND, and what lit my fuse was every senior on the bus was like, "Whoa, you got to make more of those." All right,
Check it
check
out.
this out. Can you see it?
Ooh, all right,
Yes,
tough.
that-
Nice.
I love it.
It's cheap. It's really cheap, cheesy, but I even got a nameplate down there.
Oh,
First
yeah.
I see it.
textured painting, January 2006. So like I said, I don't want to get rid of this.
Is
'Cause
that
I
something,
want people
is
to
that
see how
something from
far-
your,
Huh?
no, I was gonna say, is that something from your imagination or is that natural?
Yeah,
place?
that one is, I wanted to make a stone wall, just experiment. But this is the one that's going to London. You're gonna love this one.
Oh, there we go. I
Oh,
love
right,
it.
there you go. Yeah.
I mean, this freaking thing is cool, man. You could feel the teeth, everything. All the heads, I did all the heads. I was just gonna do the last scene on the transformation,
Yeah, yeah.
just this. Then I said, no, why not the whole thing? You know, I did the whole thing. The guy screaming and everything changing. So this guy just lives right outside of London, sees this. I want like, I don't know, $900 for this piece because this took a while. He goes, I'll take it. So he starts giving me these payments on PayPal. He's like probably 2/3 of the way paid.
How
You know?
much does that
I
go
said, don't
for?
worry about it. I took it out of my window. I'm not gonna sell it to anybody.
How much did that go for?
900. 895. But you
That
know
is
what?
good.
Here's the thing. There's only one. That's what I told the kid. You know, he was hemming and hawing. There's only one. To me, that's bragging rights, baby. That's
Mm,
bragging rights.
right there you go. There, that's nice.
Yeah.
You mentioned
All right,
one
man.
thing,
Yeah.
and I like this. Do you do that for everybody? A little layaway plan? You pay a
Yeah,
little-
yeah. Well, this kid lives in England, you know, and I'd be stupid not to, especially where it's going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got to split the shipping with me, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
You know,
that's good to know.
SD wouldn't take payments. You got to pay for it in full. So he sent me an email. Hey, I can't buy it off your SD shop because they want a full payment. Would you
Yeah.
be willing to work with me on payments? Then I said, well, where do you live? And he says, England. You know, so many miles away from London. I'm like, oh man, American Werewolf in London, Are you freaking kidding me? Hell yeah, I'll work with you.
Hmm.
You know, but this is probably the second or third piece I got in England. I want to tap some other areas in the world that don't have my stuff.
Hmm.
But little by little, it's going, you know.
Well, it's going, Todd. You the man.
It is.
You the man, brother.
Hey, the floodgates are starting to fall, baby. I can feel it.
I can see it, Todd.
I can feel it. Remember that enthusiasm quote, baby? You don't see my enthusiasm. What the hell is this guy high on, man? What's he smoking? Now he come to my studio like, holy shit. That's what he's on. You know, he's on art. You know?
Whatever you're doing it correctly. 'Cause, like you said, you got the enthusiasm, you got the talent, and you got the marketing.
You got the talent, Todd. You the man.
I got a cafe press store, and they print all my artwork on. This is a good quote too. They print all my stuff on Christmas ornaments, mugs. This is a tote bag. Could you read that?
Not really.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it's a little blurry. What does it say?
Yeah.
The best day of my life is today, and I remind myself of that every morning.
No,
Hmm.
that's great. I
How's
actually
that,
had
huh?
I had this conversation when I spoke with Max Gallick. I was telling you, because his friend is the creator of a magazine called Abilities. He talks about people with disabilities, and I was talking. I have cerebral palsy, and I said, some people do have a bad life, and but people that play the victim just get on my nerves, because if they look around and say, you know, life really is not that bad. There's so many people out there who are dying from diseases, have all these other problems, and just because you had a bad day at work doesn't mean that life is horrible. And I like the fact that, you know, yeah, I've always looked at life at like, I have a pretty good life. I have nothing to complain about. When if something gets me down, it's like, wait a minute, let me look around this. I'm healthy, I'm having fun. There's, you know, I have a great place where I'm living. I have a job that pays the bills. What am I complaining? So that is a great quote, and another one to add to that list.
There you go. I always try to be positive on Facebook every day. I try to put something down positive.
That's
You know, and I
good.
got people stopping me in the grocery stores. Oh my God, your page is the first thing I look at because you start my day off on the right foot. You know, I'm glad somebody's reading them, you know? Like I always tell people, if you need something to be thankful for, check your pulse.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right? Wibo, you know. That's right, man.
Every day's a blessing.
Every day's a blessing, right?
Yeah.
Or what do they say? Life is a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Yeah.
Huh?
I think that's a perfect way to end the show, and a great quote like that. Unless there's something else that you want to add, and one more time before we do go, promote yourself as you do very well, and let everybody know where they can find you, and if they're interested in buying your art, how they can do that.
Well, again, my name is Joe Kopler. I'm from Torrington, Connecticut, and I've been a DURABOND artist for the last 17 years. But I do all kinds of art too. You can find my SD shop under Coppler Art. You could Google DURABOND artist. You'll find me there. DURABOND art. You'll find me there. I don't know what my website is copplerart.com. And like I said, my SD shop's just Coppler Art, no .com, just Coppler. I'm easy to find. I'm on Facebook. I got a freelance artist page. What's that?
No, I was gonna say, and if you want to feel good about yourself, read his Facebook page. Friend him on Facebook.
Beautiful.
Positive.
And if you need an uplifting quote sculpted, I'm the guy. Something to hang over your desk or in your office or whatever. I want people to come and see my art and start their day off on the right foot.
That's the man right there, Taco.
That's right, man. Hey, Duke, thank you for introducing me to Rich, man.
Oh, you're
It
welcome.
was great. Yeah, it was great meeting you. And this is not the last time you're gonna see me.
Even though you were late coming on the show, Wibo.
Yeah.
Him and I talked for 5 minutes.
We had a whole other interview before you got on.
Yeah, right. He's just telling me all week, don't be late. Don't be late. It's at 9 o'clock. Don't be late. Don't be late. Who's late?
No control of the computer.
I still love you, buddy. I still love you.
We had a lot of problems, right, Rich? That.
Yes.
Don't bring Rich down. Rich was here. All right, guys. Have a good night. I'm looking forward to seeing this on YouTube.
Yes, you're most definitely gonna see it. I will let you know. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Kopler, check him out. Great artist, great person, lots of enthusiasm, gives you hope, gives you a reason to live. And we invented a new term. He's the inventor of Copplerism. He's Mr. DURABOND himself, Joe Kopler.
All right, man.
And thank you very much for checking out the local art show with Rich and Wibo. We'll see you next week with a brand new show, brand new artist. So until then, thanks for watching. See you next week.
From the frenetic mind of author Rich Sear. 5 terrifying short stories, now available in one collection. Confessions of a Frenetic Mind. 5 tales of blood-curdling terror, available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
All of a sudden I hear, brim, brim.
What's a diaphragm again?
Ha! We caught one.
They're supposed to be weird.
Oh, yeah, no. If you say so.
I've always wanted to be in a movie.
Waiting around for autumn, waiting around for autumn.